Books, check. Coffee, check. Camera, hopefully it looks good. Let's go. Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. So today I am finally filming my May wrap up. I feel like it's been forever long. I feel like May was such a long month. I had a lot of good reading, just everything. I had some arcs that I read. We had the Christian fiction readathon, and I read pretty much all the books on my TBR except for 2. I was kind of feeling slumpy with 2 of the books that I tried to read this month, so I ended up putting them down and want to give them more time. But the rest of the books I did read on my TBR, with plus a few extras. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty lengthy video, but I am going to put timestamps if you want to skip through on the books and all that stuff. But yeah, I just want to say, I was reading the comments on my TBR video. Y'all are so sweet. I just thank you all so much for your support. I just appreciate you all so much. I just have to say that. I have several new faces here on the channel, so I just want to let you know that I do appreciate every word that you all say in the comments. And it's just wonderful. It really encourages me. And I'm going to say this too. If you all are thinking about starting a channel for Christian fiction or just reading in general, do it. Like, honestly, it's just, I never thought that I would ever have this many people on my channel, and it was something I was thinking about for a long time, and I never really liked my voice, and I was like, I don't know about this, but do it. Do not hold back, because people will watch you, people will love you, and the support will be more than you ever imagined. So, and I'll cheer you on too. So I just wanted to say that, because I know that was something that I thought about for a while, and I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I'm just filming with my phone. I have no fancy. I do have a ring light that I got on Amazon for like $30. But other than that, there's really nothing fancy about it. So I just wanted to say that and encourage someone else, maybe, if you are thinking about doing it. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into the video. Like I said, I did have some arcs that I read this month. And we had the Christian Fiction Readathon. So I'm going to kind of split this up a little bit differently. Normally I kind of go in the order that I read them. But I want to talk about the arcs that I read first this month. I had 3 arcs on my list. And I'm going to go and pull my notes, because I've been putting a lot more detailed reviews on Goodreads so that I can refer back to them for these videos. It's so hard to remember everything a month later of like exactly what I was feeling and all that stuff. So if you see me look at my iPad, that's what's happening. But you know, get ready with some coffee. So the first arc that I want to talk about, I've already talked about in like one of my vlogs, which I'll link here in the card, but I want to give like a formal review of this because it is a very popular Christian author. I was so thankful to get this from Tyndale. I have been getting more arcs lately, and I still get declines sometimes, but if you feel discouraged by not getting the arcs on NetGalley, keep applying, just keep doing what you're doing. You never know when you're going to get approved for one. So this book is Long Way Home by Lynn Austin. Y'all, Lynn Austin, I have another Lynn Austin book to talk about in this video. I have found a new favorite author. I love her. She's great with Christian historical fiction, and the romance is beautiful in her other story that I read this month. So this one, I know some of you have talked about, like, you don't really love when a romance is the primary focus of a story. This is one that it's not. It is an undertone, so just want to mention that for some of you who are not as big of a romance reader. This is primarily a historical Christian fiction. Y'all, this was so good. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. This book comes out on June 21st this month, and it is published by Tyndale House Publishers. I just love Lynn Austin. Her first book that I read by her was Waves of Mercy, which I'll talk about in this video as well. But for Long Way Home, this is just a must read if you love faith, the World War II time period, family, friendship, all that stuff. I mean, and this has like all the truth and the struggles from that time period. It was just so impactful and a very important read for me. The story is set in World War II, and it's a dual timeline, and the characters are so well fleshed out. The dual timeline is very well put together, the way everything kind of collides together, so I really liked that. In one timeline, we follow Peggy Serrano. She is so excited to see Jimmy return from the war, but unfortunately, Jimmy is suffering from PTSD. Jimmy is her best friend, and in his time in World War II as a medic, he is really struggling from everything that he saw in the war. He returns a completely changed man. That's one reason I feel like this is such an important read, because you really get the perspective of what happened to those World War II veterans and what they had to go through and what they had to see. And so I feel like that's a very impactful story. Unfortunately, Jimmy is just so distraught from everything that he saw. He attempts to take his own life. And so his parents check him in at the VA hospital. And Peggy is doing everything in her power to try to help him to just get better. And she's going through all his old war items, like everything in his possessions, and like going through his letters and trying to contact his old war buddies so that maybe they can come visit him at the hospital and try to help him to recover. And so even like taking her dog, like the dog is a really big part of the story, and I really like that too, taking the dog to visit him and just try to bring him back to us is what they keep saying. So we need to bring him back. So Peggy is just such a wonderful character. She's the ultimate friend. I talked about her in my Heroes video. I'll link it in the card, but she starts piecing everything together for Jimmy. Like I said, contacting his friends. One of the friends is named Joe, and he comes by and he sticks around for a while, and she's starting to help him in his life because he's also suffering from some PTSD as well, the nightmares and things like that. So she just helped everyone that she interacted with who needed it. She put everyone else before herself. She wasn't confident in her own self. She struggled because she lost her mother at a very young age, and that was in the very beginning of the story, so that's not spoilers, but she's just a true hero, and I feel like we could all use someone like her as an inspiration. Her life story is just very impactful for me, and she's a beautiful character, so I loved her. The other part of this story follows Gisela and her family during the World War II time period. So you're following like after the war with Jimmy, and then you're following Gisela, which is during the war. The way that they transition to Gisela is Peggy actually finds a photo of Gisela in Jimmy's war stuff. So they're like, who is this person? I wonder if she's someone that we can track down to help bring him back to us. And so that's why they're going through all the friends, and every time they meet a friend, they're like, do you know who this is? That kind of thing. So the whole side on that is like ultimately trying to figure out who she is and everything like that. And so then we cut to her perspective, which is during World War II. They are Jewish, and everything they're going through in her family is just horrible. And it's such an impactful read. I think it's so important to read just to see what the Jewish people went through. It's a true reminder of what they had to endure. Her and her family are trying to escape Germany and go to Cuba on a passenger ship. We see that they keep being denied passage, so they can't make it to Cuba, America, or any other, or Canada. They're all denying them passage, so they have to go back to Europe, and they end up in one of the other countries there. I think it's such an important read for us. There's a lot of details in here about the concentration camps, the brutality that they had to go through, and it also includes the aftermath of that. Both characters have strong faith in God, so there's a lot of mentions of prayer and God in this story. I really appreciate all the details that Lynn has put in here about World War II. I learned a lot about what happened during the war, and just kind of that reminder of things I think we just forget, and so it was such an important read for me. So I loved how she completely centers God in her stories and his word. Some of the themes, there were scriptures that reference like Romans, nothing can separate us from God's love. And then Job's story was referenced several times, in his suffering and Jesus' ultimate sacrifice on the cross for us as well. So those were all great things. If you like Lynn Austen and you love Christian historical fiction, you're going to like this book. All right, I feel like I talked forever about this, but I love this story. Everything about it. So this is going to be so long. I don't even think I said how many books I read this month. There are 12 books in this video, so sorry. All right, y'all. So the next book that I read was an ARC that I got on NetGalley from Crossway. Thank you, Crossway, for giving me this. I just love this. I honestly, this is such a fun adventure. So this is The Dragon and the Stone. I think several other of the Christian booktubers have mentioned this as well. It's a recent release. It's already out. If you're interested, all the books will be linked in the description, but I really enjoyed this, y'all. This was the Dreamkeeper Saga #1 by Catherine L. Butler, and y'all, this this was such an adventure, and I had major Middle-earth and Narnia vibes here. I mean, truly, you could just see the inspiration from Tolkien and C.S. Lewis in this story. It was just great. So, yeah, where do I start? So I give this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. I cannot wait for the next in the series. This is a brand new middle grade fantasy series published by Crossway. Because Crossway published it, I knew it'd be a clean read and a lot of fun. So this is 12-year-old Lily McKinley, and she is struggling with loneliness and bullying and the recent loss of her father. Her dad presumed dead, and everything that she's going through, she's just trying to navigate through everyday life. And one day she finds like a mysterious stone necklace and a new dragon friend, and everything kind of takes off from there. So this, like I said, this story had major Middle-earth and Narnia vibes. I loved it. I think this is a fun, adventurous story. It's great for kids. I was thankful it was a clean read. I did notice some biblical parallels in the story and appreciated that. Even though it's not specifically stated as biblical, in this story you'll have a lot of themes of friendship, hope, redemption, good versus evil, worry, grief, helping others, being kind, all that stuff. The story had dragons, friendships, heroes, character growth, hope. I just loved it. And it was a fast read. Everything moved along fairly quickly, so I really liked that. I like that. I think in a middle grade that's really important to have it be a fast paced. And like I said, I really like the details of the little dragon. Y'all look at the on this cover. The little dragon was just a sweet little bean. I just loved him. So all in all, this is a very enjoyable story. I look forward to the next in the series. I think this was really a fun adventure for kids. And I really appreciate Crossway for giving me a free advanced copy to read and to tell you all about it on my channel. The last arc that I read this month was A Forever Summer by Havilah McClatt. And this comes out on June the 7th. And I really think it's important that we support indie authors. This is a clean romance. I am friends with her on Instagram. I'll link her all the details for this book below. But she reached out to me and asked if I want to be part of her ARC team. And I was so thankful that she did, because this was a really fun read. This is her debut novel, like I said. I ended up giving this 4 stars as well. Honestly felt like I was reading a cute summer Hallmark movie. If you like cute summer reads, the friends to lovers trope, family details, you're going to like this story. So this story starts with Catherine and her sister Maud, and they are meeting with a lawyer to discuss the details of their father's will. He had recently passed away. So in the will, their dad has left them this mysterious house, and they don't really know anything about this house, so they have no memories about this house. Catherine really just wants to sell this house and have nothing to do with it. She says, oh, I can't have this house. And then Maud's like, well, let's just check it out. This house is in Westchester Bay, Massachusetts, and they don't really know much about it, so they don't really know what to do. But Catherine's an artist who works for a Boston lifestyle magazine, and boss thinks, hey, you need to take some time off. Just to kind of recollect your thoughts and for your artwork and everything, just so that you can be refreshed. So they decide to go check out this house on some time off that Catherine has. And the sister's a freshman in college, so they can just go. Like I said, they go there and they're going to go check this house. Well, then in comes Jansen, who works in real estate and is... Y'all, I love this guy. This was like the perfect cute guy in a story, y'all. So he works in real estate, and he is visiting at his aunt and uncle's house, and he's staying in town with them. Jansen goes to this store. His aunt's roof is leaking after it rains, and so that's when he bumps into Catherine, and they kind of see each other, and they're like, do I know you, kind of thing, but they don't really say it. They kind of seem oddly familiar to each other, so there's that kind of like, how do they know each other kind of thing. You kind of get the vibes that they knew each other previously. So you see their journey throughout the story of their past and history together, and the story just kind of takes off from there. So I really like the scenery of this story. We had a lot of great beach scenes, summer descriptions. The characters are interesting. I liked how they were getting to know each other, and the details surrounding the family were really nice too. You had like some family conflict and things like that, then resolution there. All in all, this is a fun, clean summer read. I think if you like Hallmark summer movies, you would like this book. This is not specifically Christian, but it is a clean summer romance, and I just think you all should check it out. I think it's really important that we support the indie authors, and it's on Kindle and everything, so you can just, I'll link everything below, but thank you, Havilah, for giving me a copy to read and review, honestly. And I just so you know, if I do have an arc that I read and review, I am very honest about my thoughts there. I think it's very important that we are honest, and I'm thankful that I've liked the ones that I have read so far, so hopefully that'll continue. But just so you all know, just it's very important to be honest in those thoughts. And yeah, I really enjoyed these. I thought all these arcs are really great, and hopefully I can have some more that I can read and review and to tell you all about in the future. So yeah, those are the arcs that I read this month. And so now we're going to talk about the physical books because reasons. So this month was the Christian Fiction Readathon, hosted by CADE at Paperbacks and Ponytails. I'll link her below. But I had a lot of fun this month reading a lot of great Christian fiction reads, which it's pretty much what I read mostly anyway. So the prompts, I was able to like switch it up if I needed to, because I did have to switch it up. I'm going to talk about the books that I read in the order of the prompts. And so the first book that I want to talk about is Tacos for Two. This is the prompt for Flowers on the Cover. Now, y'all, if you saw my TBR, you knew that I did not pick this. I ended up picking The Cul-de-sac War by Melissa Ferguson, which I have unhauled, and I DNF'd it because I just feel like that book fell trap, and I read Meet Me in the Margins. I wasn't crazy about it. And then I tried to read The Cul-de-sac War, and I wasn't connecting with the characters. So, unfortunately, I don't know if Melissa Ferguson will be an author for me, but anyway, I'll tell you more about Meet Me in the Margins in a little while. But Tacos for Two ended up being the prompt for Flowers on the Cover. I love this cover. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. This was a Christian fiction romance. It didn't have as much faith as I hoped, but I still gave it 4 stars because I did connect with the characters here quite a bit. I loved the characters. They all were so wonderful, and I had a lot of fun reading it. So this has a lot of You've Got Mail references and vibes. I love that. I haven't really watched that movie in a while, but what I remembered, I really liked seeing that in this story. This story follows 2 characters, Rory and Jude, and I did have a vlog where I read this, and I'll link it in the card if you haven't seen it. But Rory is helping her family. Rory is helping her family's taco truck, Salsa Street, and after the passing of her aunt, so she really doesn't like to cook, but she's really needed to help her family in this story. And then we have Jude, who loves Food Network, works at his dad's law firm, is not crazy about the law firm or anything in the law business, and he loves to cook, or he wants to learn how to cook, and he just loves everything about food. You kind of got polar opposites here. And so this starts off with Rory and Jude chatting back and forth. I loved how they chatted back and forth, but they showed, like, I think I showed this before, but there's like messages, like you can see here we've got some like chats back and forth. So I love when a book has chatting back and forth. That's really cool, and it's always done really well from what I've seen. So, but they are chatting back and forth, and of course they don't know who each other is. Of course, that's the way we know in this story. Anytime you have a story, they don't know who they are. So they chat on a progression style based dating app, which that means the app is like suggests your chat progress. I really like their conversations too. They're really cute. But Rory's truck, this is how they end up meeting. Rory's truck, which this is very early in the story, so no spoilers, but Rory's truck is providing the lunch for Jude's father's law firm. Jude loves the tacos, and he's like, I gotta know about these tacos, and he goes down to the truck, asks for cooking lessons, and the rest goes on from there. So yeah, it's wild. So the whole plot point here is there is a food competition, and Rory and Jude compete against each other for different reasons. I won't really say exactly what's going on in their family life, but they each have, the stakes are very high for each other, and they each need to win this competition. So yeah, the story just takes off from there, and there's a lot about the food competition, the food trucks, and just all that great stuff. The stakes are very high. Things get complicated really fast. And yeah, I love this. It's such a cute, clean romance. The story between 2 chefs who have no idea that they're chatting with each other on a dating app. And so I think the ending was great. And the details surrounding the cooking, the food trucks, the competition, and the family dynamic was great. There's also some family conflict in here and resolution, so I really like that as well. Now, like I said, the only reason I give this 4 stars is because I wish we had more faith content, because it's marketed as Christian. And I think there were some missed opportunities for faith elements here, but I overall enjoyed the story, and I would highly recommend it. So that's the one I read for Flowers on the Cover for the Readathon. The next prompt was April Showers Bring May Murders. Read a mystery or a thriller. And I picked up Terry Blackstock, Truth Stained Lies. Y'all, Terry Blackstock does it again. That's why I said in my Goodreads review, she does it again. Another enjoyable Christian suspense mystery. Like, I gave this one 4 stars. I guess I gave it 4 stars because I was like obsessed with If I Run. So I still really like this, but it wasn't the same knock it out of the park for me, like If I Run, you know. But this was truly a really great story, and it was addictive to read, and I had to get through it really fast. I was like, I gotta know what happens, you know, typical Terry Blackstock. I had to know. So this starts off with, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these stories are like, really? And it makes you want to know what's happened. So it starts off with Kathy being a former lawyer. She's an investigative blogger who writes commentary on homicides. And she finds a threatening note on her car, and she doesn't seem very concerned until her brother's wife is murdered. And all eyes are pointing to her brother. So she starts having to help represent him, figure out the case, what's happened. So Jay is her brother, and him and his wife Anna Lee are going through a custody battle for their son Jackson, but he receives an email that looks like it's from the wife saying, come over, I want to work things out. Well, when he gets there, it's always like the first chapter, so no, that's not spoilers, but she's been killed and shot in the bathroom. He calls 911, but his story is when he first got to the house, he saw a man in a clown suit leaving. Nobody believes him because he says they say it's so crazy that what man's going to be in a clown suit? You're making this up, kind of thing. And so they're trying to put him in prison for this, and he has not done it. Jay's siblings are all working together to try to clear his name, and everything takes off from there. I feel like this is a really great Christian suspense read. There's another thing that happens, a plot twist that happens towards the end. I won't mention it, but this is a great Christian suspense read. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Typical Terry Blackstock, y'all. Terry Blackstock is ultimate. I just had to know what happened. So this is part of a series, and I was thankful that this was wrapped up and not on the edge of a cliffhanger, because I would have had to immediately pick up book 2, but there is resolution in this story where we figure out everything and everything comes full circle and it's completed. But this is part of the Moonlighters series. So I also enjoyed the faith content in this. This had a lot of great faith content, prayer, redemption. We had some scriptures, I believe. I'm just trying to remember. It's hard to remember because I read this so early in the month. But if you like Terry Blackstock, you're going to love this. Oh, I think I've skipped a prompt. New to me author. Let's talk about that one. I just finished this later in this month, so this is a lot in my feels right now. I did a vlog. I will link it. It just came out this week. If you've not seen my vlog, it's so long, but it has a lot of good things in it. Y'all, new to me. So I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just fangirling about this book. So, you can't get your thoughts out. That's how I feel right now. So, yeah. This filled the prompt for a new to me author, and it's out now. A new favorite author here is Tammy L. Gray. I must read all Tammy L. Gray, y'all. Must read. So, Love and a Little White Lie. Plus the cover, y'all. The cover is gorgeous. I love the gradient here. Beautiful. I need a coffee real quick, so hold on just one moment. Which is done got cold because I've been here talking too long. Okay, so I'm just so thankful to be reading more Christian fiction because I always end up finding these little golden nuggets of authors that I love. Love it. So yeah, this story has Christianity front and center. This starts off with January Sanders, who is not a believer. She's a skeptic of faith, and she's staying with her aunt, and she ends up going to work at a church, Grace Community Church. She's recently suffered a really heartbreaking breakup with her boyfriend, so she's just having a really hard time. And her and her mom don't have the best relationship, but staying with her aunt leads her to get a job at their local church, like I said. So she is hiding her unbelief at the church to the people that work there. But she starts finding love in a place that she never thought she would. So she's also helping people along the way, and she's slowly learning about faith. And this is just a beautiful story of coming to know God, going through tough times, finding yourself in Christ, and showing forgiveness to others, y'all. And, y'all, if you see my vlog, you knew I was surprised. But this has a love triangle. Two possible love interests. So, I'm not going to say much. But, I was rooting for one, and I was so happy that she was with him. He's a swoon-worthy guy in my mind. So, he good. I liked him. He's a swoon-worthy character. Loved it. And I normally don't see a lot of love triangles in Christian fiction, but this was done really well. It wasn't crazy or anything. It was kind of okay, we had more possibilities than triangle, I guess, but more of love options. And I guess that could be a polarizing read. Some people may or may not like that, but I did like this, and this story, it was done well. So, I love the characters. They were relatable. I just felt like they were realistic. The things that they went through, there were a lot of things like that. I love the author's writing style. It hooked me in immediately. I was hooked immediately with this, y'all. Had to know what was going to happen. I read it so fast. I love it, and this is a perfect summer romance, just perfect. And there's 2 more books in the series. They follow different characters. So the third one, I think, comes out in August. I did apply for the ARC and I didn't get it, but that's okay. That's okay. So, but I am going to read the second book at some point. It's on Kindle Unlimited. But, y'all, they're so beautiful. I might have to buy it for my shelf. I don't know. Book problems. What else do I want to say? Oh, yeah. All the characters went through struggles. They had hard times. And there was some great faith. And there were scriptures even in here. We had just some great emotion. And the ending, I was like, the ending was beautiful. Beautiful. It was beautiful. So, I love how everything came full circle. And, yes. So, all in all, 5 stars. Tammy O'Gray's a new favorite. Read this book. Read this book. I'm just fangirling about this book. So, anyway, this is the first book that I have ever tabbed up. But this is this is what's crazy. Here's my story about this. I want y'all know. So, y'all know my son has autism, and this prompt said, for Katie's Readathon, said, pick a book that's been on your TBR shelf the longest. Well, I haven't really had a lot of Christian fiction on my shelves for a very long time, except this book. I didn't know what this was about. And I was like, well, I bought that maybe in 2019. I'll pick that one. Read the synopsis. And it features an autistic character front and center. He's 18. And the first, I had a vlog on this, I'll link it, but I was like crying. The first chapter, like literally, I'm not even kidding. The first 2-3 pages, I was in tears. The prologue. Because I related it was from the mother's perspective, and I related to her so much. She was talking about things like the eye contact, and because she was like comparing how she felt. She was working at Walmart, and she saw a mother and her 3-year-old son, and he was talking and things, and like her son was 3 and not talking, and she was just everything she wrote in the first page, 2-3 pages, I was already in tears, and I was like, this is a God thing. Like, I really felt like the Lord, I'm so thankful the Lord brought me to read this. I needed this. As an autism mom, I really needed this. So it spoke to me in so many ways. So I don't know. It's just, it's emotional, but it's the truth. If you are going through that or have a child with special needs, I think we all have our struggles, and every day is not easy. And this reminded me of the goodness of the Lord through all of that. This reminds me of the goodness of the Lord. And making sure you're praying for your child, and don't just sit in your feelings, because I've done that. Do not just sit in your feelings. Pray to the Lord about it. Everything's going to be okay. He's with you always. And that's just, I feel like this was a perfect book for me to read at that time. So, intro to that. Sorry, it was a little lengthy, but I just want to say, I had to say that because it was so true. And I tabbed so many great things for me to refer back to, like the mom would get prayers and say, my precious daughter, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the desert and the streams in the wasteland. I love you, my daughter. You are not alone. Like, those things I need to go back and read, because I need that so many days. But now, sorry, I just already told y'all that. But this book, I have to tell you what this book is about. Unlocked Karen Kingsbury. This is my first Karen Kingsbury read, and it will not be my last. I give this 5 stars. This, like I said, as an autism mom of a precious 3-year-old boy, this book, like I said, spoke to me. I was crying, all that stuff. I could relate to the family, and it follows an 18-year-old boy named Holden and his broken family, who, as many parents feel after an autism diagnosis, they feel lost. They feel like they lost their son to autism after he turned 3, because he had a very severe case where he completely shut down. He's locked inside his own world, and he started showing signs of autism at 3, and he no longer would look at his family in the eyes, and he would no longer speak. So fast forward, he's 18, he still doesn't talk. He's at school, he's in this, and I saw so many things that as a mom that the school could have done better, and things like that too. But and then we have Ella Reynolds, who was Holden's best friend back when they were little, and like they stopped being friends. I guess the family stopped being friends with them. And so fast forward, we're in high school and she's in music class, and music kind of opens him up, which my son loves music too. Ella catches Holden listening to her rehearse for their school play, Beauty and the Beast, and she's amazed at how he's just drawn into the music and wants to stay with them. And so she doesn't even know they used to be friends, but she starts trying to help Holden unlock every possible thing that he has through music and singing. So yes, y'all, the spectrum is so broad. No two cases are alike. This story brings awareness that children need that have autism. The importance of truly trying to understand and listen to those on the spectrum, dealing with the bullying in school. I feel like the author did a really great job explaining autism and what the families are going through, and just all the feelings that we feel as parents of newly diagnosed children. And she completely captures the emotion on both sides. And, you know, like losing your friendships, that any kind of connection to your child, you almost kind of go through this grieving state in a way that you miss through the certain things you miss with your child. It's a process, but this has reminded me to always pray in the situations that I'm going through, continue to work towards being the most successful in therapies and preschool with my child. I related to the mother, Tracy, in so many ways. I've highlighted so many comments from her prayers to the Lord that will help me in my journey with our son. And as a lot of and I saw some comments that say, like, okay, this is kind of cheesy. The ending is kind of all of a sudden resolved. But, you know, I really liked it anyway. I think I see where they're coming from, but I guess it hit me at such a time in my life, and I can truly relate. That's why I gave it 5 stars. Especially in this past year and everything we've went through. And the faith content was wonderful. You had all these characters praying to God, even Holden, like praying to Jesus, and it was wonderful, beautiful, and I instantly connected. So there is some trigger warnings here. I want to say, if you don't want to know about the trigger warnings, skip ahead maybe like 10 seconds, but this does deal with heavy topics of students with bullying, and there is a scene of student suicide. So I just want you all to know there's like one chapter about student suicide, and that was hard to read. So I just want you all to be aware of that, because I know it's important for clean reads and things like that. But this ultimately was a new favorite for 2022, and I will be picking this up. Like I said, I've tabbed it up. I will continue to pick this up. So yeah, sorry I've talked long about that. The last book that I read for the Christian Fiction Readathon I just finished this. Julie Klassen, The Bridge to Belle Island. Y'all, the cover is gorgeous, isn't it? So I really enjoyed this story. This was a 3.5 to 4 stars for me. I rounded it up to 4 because of the ending. This is a Christian historical fiction primarily, and it has a mystery genre in here with a very small Regency romance undertone. So I had a lot of fun reading this. I had like a lot of Agatha Christie, Poirot, cozy mystery vibes. So I really liked the mystery that was going on through here, but I wanted more romance. Like, I just kept hoping that the characters that were supposed to be together were going to get together and we'd see more of the details from their romance, but we didn't. You ultimately had like a couple chapters at the end there with it, but I think that's why I was like, just kept waiting for that, and I never got it. So that's fine. Just for me, that's what I was wanting. But if you want a book that doesn't have a whole lot of romance and is primarily a mystery, then you would love this. So this story follows Benjamin Booker. He's a lawyer, and he has a case at the beginning where he makes a mistake, and he says he's never going to trust a beautiful woman again, but he now has to work to investigate a murder of Isabel Wilder's trustee. Isabel had a recent disagreement with this man, so she is the primary suspect. It's her uncle, which he's really not like her uncle. He's a distant relative, but everybody calls him the uncle. I did talk about this in my vlog with Tammy L. Gray book, but Isabel has not left Belle Island in like 10 years, and that's her on the cover. Gorgeous. They even describe like the coat and everything she's wearing, so it's beautiful. But she's not left the island in 10 years because there's like this curse on her family where every time someone in her family leaves the island, they die young, and so she's paralyzed with fear about this. But the weird thing is since she's never left the island, she keeps having this dream about the man who died and like everything surrounding his death. So she's like, was I there? Is this a memory? Is this a premonition? What is this? How did I have this dream about his death and I wasn't even there? So she has no memory of ever being there. So that's part of the mystery right off. And then more mysterious things keep happening. A lot of crazy stuff. So yeah, they're trying to figure it out. Most of this story is the mystery. Like I said, they're trying to kind of figure out and piece everything together. And I did like how the romance was coming at the end, but I just wanted more. I was on the edge of my seat though with this. I kept wanting to know what happens next. I read this really quickly. Like I said, it had those cozy mystery vibes. I think if you love a cozy mystery, you're gonna like this. I liked how the faith was sprinkled throughout. It wasn't like heavy, but it was sprinkled throughout the story, so you knew that was like a part of the characters, really important to them. So we had prayer, scriptures. I think there was some from the Psalms. They were crying out to God for protection, asking for answers and the truth to set them free. So those are some things that I remembered right off from this. This is more of a recent read, so I can easily remember right off. But overall, a great Christian historical fiction with cozy mystery vibes. The ending was action-packed, and I really enjoyed it. Alright, so those are the ones that I read for the Readathon. So I don't even know how I'm going to section off my timestamps. I guess I'll just do it per book. But those were the books. I first talked about my arcs, then I talked about the Readathon, and now I'm just going to talk about the rest of these. So I'm going to have to figure out what's what. This is the only book that I was not crazy about, y'all. Meet Me in the Margins by Melissa Ferguson was the Christian book club pick for this month. Y'all, I ended up giving this 2.5 stars. This book did not have any faith. That's my main gripe about this. And while Tacos for Two did not have any faith, besides maybe mentioning the Bible a couple times, I love the characters. The story was great. Like, I was just so connected. I just didn't connect with this story. It was fine for a clean romance, but let me just explain what this is about. So, SUZANNE, or was it SUZANNAH? Whatever. SUZANNE, whatever. CADE works at Pennington Publishing in Nashville. So I really liked the Nashville setting because I'm in Tennessee, but she's secretly writing a romance novel. Pennington Publishing does not publish romance novels, so she's using like a pen name, and she leaves her manuscript in this secret arc room. And so when she comes back, someone started writing notes in the margins. She had no idea who wrote these notes, and the story kind of takes off from there, and you're trying to figure out who wrote the notes to her. And I really liked the idea of this book. I was really excited. I've been talking about this for several months. I kept putting it on my TBR and not getting to it. So I actually purchased this flat out on my Kindle. I was so excited and hyped about it. And I think that's a part of my disappointment too. I was so excited about it that it fell for me. But I really liked the male love interest. But the main character was just whatever. Like, I just did. And there was like this side story with her sister that plays out that I'm like, I dated my husband for 8 years and before we got engaged, and if the same storyline happened here in real life, especially in Tennessee, this ain't happening. Like, the family would not act this way. So I just didn't like the side story with the sister. That really bothered me. The family was just not very nice, and my review, I bolded this. Why do we keep getting Christian published books marketed as Christian with absolutely zero faith content? I honestly felt like there was so many missed opportunities here for faith content, and I was just disappointed. So, like I said, 2.5 stars because it's like, this book is, fine for a secular, clean romance, but because it's marketed as Christian by a Christian publisher, I was bothered by this. So overall, okay, clean romance, interesting enough to continue, but disappointing for the lack of faith content. And this is ultimately, I tried to read The Cul-de-sac War right after this, and that's part of why I'm like, I just ended up DNFing it, because I felt like I was repeating everything from Meet Me in the Margins, like with the characters. So anyway, all right, so enough about that. On to a better book, a 5-star read, y'all. I liked it so much, I bought my own copy. That's what I'm saying. So, 5 stars, Lynn Austin, Waves of Mercy. Y'all already know. If you've seen my videos about this, y'all already know. I talked about this book in my Heroes video. And this is the first Lynn Austen I've ever read, and I have found a new favorite author. You know how you read a story and you don't even know how to explain how much you loved it? Yeah, that's how I feel right now. So this is a Christian historical fiction. It's truly impacted me in a way where I'm going to be thinking about this for a long time. I have already got book 2 on my shelf right here, but I got these on Pango for like $5. So, yeah. But I had borrowed this from the library, and I read this in early May, and y'all, my heart is just sitting in my feelings. Anna and Derek, y'all, or Derek, whatever. But there's only one thing about this book. It's hard. I did have to find the audio so I could try to figure out how to pronounce some of the names. Because the name of one of the characters is Geesje. And they say, almost like, it sounds like Keisha. Conta Keisha. It almost sounds like Keisha in the audio. So that's what I'm going to call this character. So this is a dual timeline story. We follow Keisha and Anna and Dirk Vanderveen in I wrote my review 1987. I gotta edit that. It's 1897. Sorry. In 1897, Holland, Michigan. Y'all. 1897, not 1987. In 1897, Holland, Michigan. And then Keisha is writing down like memories of her life, and it's for like she was living in the Netherlands 50 years ago, and so she's writing down these memories for a centennial group. The author is weaving these two stories together so beautifully. I've never seen a dual timeline done so well. So you have Anna and Derek. I'm gonna say Derek. So Anna and Derek. It's D-E-R-K. Dirk. Whatever. First you have Anna, who's like this Chicago socialite with her family. They're like ritzy, you know. And they go to this hotel in Holland, Michigan, after she has broken her engagement with her fiance, her wealthy fiance. So she's filled with all these different questions from her newfound faith. She broke up the engagement because her fiance was like not wanting her to go to this certain church, and there was all this drama with that. So she was like, I'm out of here. So, but the family's upset that she's left because they say you need to marry him and all this stuff for the family's sake. Then in comes Derek, and he is just the perfect guy. Like, he really is. He has recently broken up with a girlfriend, and they're kind of like, Anna and Derek are just slowly getting to know each other, and I'm rooting for them along the way. You're following Keisha's story and Anna and Derek, and like Anna's family, like I said, they're very rich, but then Derek's like, there's a hotel worker, so you kind of have that thing going on where he's not really like up to her family's standards, you know, even if she ever wanted to be with him. But then you've got this wealthy man who she's broken off the engagement with, that they want her with. You have that kind of situation going on. But he's wanting to become a pastor, minister, whatever they said. And she's asking him all these questions about faith and trying to learn more about her faith. You have got everything going on from Keisha's life 50 years ago, and the way these two stories collide. I figured it out 50% in. I was like, oh my gosh, that's how they know each other. That's it. So I was like, I gotta know how this happens. So I really loved how Keisha's story was in here. You had so many heartbreaks and disappointments and just everything, that her journey, love, loss, everything, tragedy, and yet she's staying close to God the whole time. Oh my gosh, it was just my heart for her and her story. And then I loved Anna's excitement of wanting to learn more about faith, and just how she was just all in her faith, and I love that. This has some romance, but it's a primarily historical fiction. The faith content in this story is amazing. It truly impacted the decisions. The faith really impacted the decisions made throughout the story and the plot. I got a lot from the faith in the characters because they went through so many different struggles, and especially Keisha, like I said. A main point from this story is that your will is not always God's will for your life, and to pray about every decision, especially large decisions, before you make them. That was a really big point in this. That especially if it's gonna like impact your life or your future, make sure you are praying about that. The tragedy and sadness may happen in life, but God will overcome, and he still has a plan for your life no matter what. Those were some big themes in this. Also have some themes in here about religious freedom, the importance of studying God's word, obedience, and there were a lot of scriptures referenced throughout. They were praying. You had the continuous question of why does God allow these things to happen, and they're wrestling with those emotions and thoughts that come to mind throughout this story and struggles in their faith. So just overall, it was such a great story. So yeah, there were times I cried. I was frustrated right there with them. I was in the moment, frustrated with them, like feeling what they were feeling. And it was beautiful. So I can't wait to read more of this series and more Lynn Austen, which y'all already know. I read that other Lynn Austen. It was great. So, yes. Are we getting any closer to the end? Are we getting closer? I think I just got 2 left. I think I got 2 more to talk about. Y'all, you already know. You already know. Y'all, you already know what I'm about to say. Stay With Me by Becky Wade is 5 stars. Becky Wade's a new favorite author. I am fangirling. Here we go. So this is the first book I ever read by Becky Wade. It's the first in the Misty River series. The story is tackling the difficult topic of opioid addiction paired with God's redemption and his love and his grace. Y'all, this book was amazing. I cannot say. I mean, favorite of the year. One of my favorite. Like, I don't even know. This is y'all love my excitement for books. So, yes. Sam Turner. I talked about this in my Heroes Tag too. He is the swoon-worthy hero. I love him. This is a perfect summer read. Y'all have got to read it. This story is about Genevieve Woodward, the colored Jen, and Sam Turner. The story starts with Sam it's kind of comical, finds a random girl sleeping in his guest house, which turns out to be Jen. He finds out really quickly. He's like, hey, this girl's, something's wrong. She's under the influence of something, and he finds pills. And so he doesn't want anything to do with her. Because of that, right off, he's like hesitant to even have anything to do with her because of his past. You learn about his past and issues from that later on. But Jen is a very famous Bible study author, and she has an addiction to Oxycontin. And after being prescribed them for an injury that she had like a year ago, and many people who have the opioid addiction, they were prescribed them for an injury and they continue taking them. So she continued taking them when she no longer needed to, and she formed an addiction. So she's tried to quit before, but it's been very hard. Because of her family and like there's like everything about their family in the community, she doesn't really want anybody to know about it. So he's like the only one that really knows. So she decides that she wants to get clean, but the only way she can do it and not have her mom and dad know, she has to be away from her mom and dad. She decides to ask Sam if she can rent his guest house on the farm in an effort to try to get clean. And because of this issues that Sam has, he's wrestling with that decision, but he ultimately allows her to do that and help her get clean, and he is helping her throughout that journey, and he is wonderful. There's also like a side mystery that's kind of regarding Jen's parents. You're trying to figure out, like, she keeps getting these strange letters in the mail at her publisher, like referencing things that her parents have done many years ago. That was pretty early on in the story. And so her sister Natasha and her are trying to figure out, like, what could it be that her parents did that they don't know about. So that's a big part of the story. You finally figure that out. Jen is also one of 5 that they call the Miracle 5 who have survived a big earthquake 18 years ago on a missions trip. And so while we take the journey with Sam and Jen, we are seeing snippets from her siblings and her sister, and keep saying siblings. It's her sister and some other friends that were part of the Miracle 5 as well. And it's a past of what happened, what happened in that earthquake. So you'd have like a chapter from them, and then you would have that snippet, like 1 or 2 pages that happened from other characters that were involved in that earthquake. So that was nice to see those details, because those characters are in other parts of the later books in the Misty River series, and so you got to learn about them too. So overall, this was just a great story about God's grace and his truth during times we don't feel like we deserve it. No matter what, God does not abandon us in our struggle. He sees us, and it's shown in the story so well. I feel like this was such an important read to talk about the opioid addiction. I'm glad Becky Wade did, because it's such a issue in our country, and I'm thankful that she did that. I loved that Sam was right there for her the whole time, and their relationship grew beautifully. Y'all saw my vlog. There was some, I laughed at so many different things. The groceries, that was hilarious. Like, just like they were getting to know each other. He liked to cook. He's all into organic food, and like he's bringing her supplies, and just he's the ultimate guy. Like, it's just beautiful. And like he made jokes about certain things, and I don't know, they were just beautiful. The chemistry they had in this story was great. I also loved her sister, Natasha. I really liked her too. The details we got with her she was really relatable. But yeah, there were so many times where I laughed, I teared up, I was deep in thought with this, and it's a very important read, and I can't wait to read more from this series. And book 2 is in my pile of possibilities for June. We'll see, but either way, I love this book. It may be like my top 5 of the year. I really feel that way. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is the Lightfall graphic novel for middle grade, book 2, Shadow of the Bird. And I borrowed this from the library. This is a lot of fun. I don't have a whole lot to say because it's a fun continuation without spoiling anything. But this is a fun continuation of Bee and CADE's adventures. I love the illustrations, like I said before about the book 1, Lightfall, but the illustrations in this graphic novel are great. I borrowed it from the library on my Kindle, and on my iPad it was just really bright, and I just love to see everything that happened. The friendship is really strong here between the characters, and they're always doing what they can to help each other. Everyone's working together to save their world, and I cannot wait for more in this series. So, yes, the ending left it open like there could be more. Y'all, this video gonna be so long. That is all the books I read this month. Y'all, great reading month this month. 12 books. Love it, love it, love it. So, have you read any of these books? Let me know in the comments below. If you've not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Are there any of these books that you want to read? Have I encouraged you to pick them up? Let me know all those thoughts. I love all the conversations we have in the comments. Thank you all for all your support on my channel. I'm so thankful for all of you. It's just been such a great journey on this YouTube journey, and I'm just so thankful for all of you. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, y'all.